Welcome to Book Talk. I'm your host, Melissa Aho. So today we're going to be reviewing a book that just turned the big 2-0. Yep, a 20-year-old book. Here's a couple clues. 1, it was originally published in England 20 years ago. 2, this is the first sentence in the first book. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4, Privet Drive, were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. So did you guess it? The book is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or, as the British version was called, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. So, little Harry turns 20 years old this year, and I decided let's go back and reread it, see if it's held up. If you've never read Harry Potter or seen any of the movies, and I know that sadly there are a few of you out there who haven't done it, you're like, oh, I'm not going to read it in a kid's book. But you should. It is an adorable series of books. So the main premise of the story is little Harry Potter, orphan boy, gets sent to live with his non-magical relatives, and after a couple years learns that he is a wizard and gets sent to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So that's what this first book is about. Harry coming to realize who he is and what he is, and learning about magic and making friends and becoming accepted. And he also comes to the realization that the man who killed his parents is out to get him. So basically, there's something for everyone. Has it held up over the past 20 years? Yes, it has. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to go back and reread the first book, to see, has it held up? And it has. It's as delightful and fun and funny as you remember from your first read, or 20 years ago. So one of the things that I noticed going back and rereading the book is all those little clues, all those little Easter eggs, a little bit of foreshadowing that the author included way back in this first book, even before she knew it was going to take off and become, the best-selling billion-dollar series on the planet. Little things like Hagrid riding a motorcycle in the very beginning, or McGonagall turning into a cat, or Severus Snape and his character. Little things that you didn't know all of a sudden turn up, which make it delightful. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And this first book answered this question for me, which I've always wanted to know. Does Dumbledore know what's going on? And here's a little clue. This is what she writes. So it's at the very end, and Dumbledore is talking to Harry about what happened and sort of the recap we get at the end of every book. And Dumbledore says, oh, you know about Nicholas. You did do the thing properly, didn't you? So my interpretation of that is, Dumbledore left all these little clues and he was hoping Harry would find them. Somebody else might interpret that differently, but I personally think he did, that he was secretly training Harry Potter all these years. So I highly recommend that you go back and read or reread Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, whichever version you can get your hands on. But if you can, read the British version of it. It's got all these little British terms that we don't see in the books till later when they stopped Americanizing the British versions. And it just makes it more adorable. Also, for the 20th anniversary, the British publisher put out the first book with 4 different covers, one for each of the houses, and each book is a little different because it describes the history of the house. It has images, it's got a quiz, it's totally adorable. And I mean really, even if you've got a Harry Potter book, you can always use another one. So, read Harry Potter. Reread Harry Potter. Read it for the 100th time. You just can't go wrong. It's light and fluffy, and the books certainly get better as you go from 1 to 7. Happy reading!